Hi, this is Ennis from Never Stop Trucking. On this channel, we are talking about dispatching, trucking, and other fun things. So, the topic today is insurance for independent dispatching companies. Okay, and I have been getting a lot of questions about this, and people are very confused because they because they hear a lot of things that don't check out or that are contrary to each other. So I will try to explain to you as best as I can the requirements of insurances. Okay. Now, before we start, I have to do this. Some legalities. I am not a legal advisor. I don't know the laws in your state or even in your country. So at the end, I may be wrong, and don't listen to me. I'm just merely giving my opinion based on my experience and then what I read or what I saw others doing. Okay, so this is not a legal advice. Okay, let's start. First thing, let me tell you some differences between insurances. And now I'm talking about trucking industry specific insurances. I am not talking about your office insurance, your workman's comp, your unemployment insurance, nothing like that. We have three things here. We have liability insurance, we have physical slash bobtail insurance, and we have cargo insurance. And then also brokers, most of them have contingent liability or cargo insurance. Okay, but that's different. Now because we are in trucking industry, we are in dispatching industry, so this is different. Okay, what's bobtail and physical insurance? I'm not going to go into details about specifics about that because this is not a topic. We are talking about whether you need insurance as a dispatching company or not, but just to throw it out there, uh, bobtail insurance covers only the tractor or the truck when they're not under dispatch. Okay, so you're not dispatching and driving a truck around. You're an owner operator or well, usually it's owner operators for bobtail, and you're going to a shop to fix your truck or to a store, like you unhook your trailer and go to a store, get some food, anything like that. Anything that could be considered private or that has nothing to do with a load or with your company that you drive for. Okay, and then that's what you need in case something happens while you're doing that. You get an accident or there is a damage to your truck, and that's what they call bobtail insurance. Okay, and there's also physical insurance, but usually companies that have their own fleet, they use physical, and they can put all their trucks on that physical, and it kind of serves the same purpose as bobtail, but this is more for company trucks, or maybe even if your owner operator leads to a certain company, you have their signs on the side of your truck, then you might be in their physical. But bobtail and physical, usually people generally kind of think about it as in the same group there, okay? But it is different, okay? And like I said, I'm not going to go into that. So that's what that covers. Your cargo insurance covers the cargo on your truck, okay? And usually this insurance is not usually, but always, it's way cheaper than the liability. Okay, let's say your liability insurance for one of your trucks is like $10,000 to $15,000 a year. Cargo is usually from between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, give or take. So cargo covers your load. Okay, and usually trucking companies have a limit of $100,000 for cargo insurance. So they can haul anything, well, unless your insurance has some exceptions. Sometimes they have exceptions like electrical, like electronics or like copper, stuff like that. But usually, like anything that's most things that are under $100,000 are covered, okay? And then usually trucking companies have that, especially the smaller companies, because that's more than enough to cover the load that's on your truck, okay? So, imagine you have like 24, 26 pallets of something in your truck. I mean, what are the chances that this is going to be worth more than $100,000? You can buy a lot of stuff for $100,000. And then next level would be $250,000 cargo insurance. This is for higher paying loads, and some companies have that. And then you have an even bigger limits there, okay? So that's your cargo insurance. And then trucking companies absolutely must have that, in order to cover their loads, okay? Same as bobtail / physical insurance, okay? So this is for trucking companies. And the next one, that's the most expensive one, is liability insurance, and that covers everything else, like your truck, your driver, other people involved, like other trucks, other cars, property, those kind of things. So that covers all that, and that's usually very expensive. It's anywhere from like $10,000 per truck to like 20, maybe even $30,000 a year for one truck when you're just starting. Okay, and then I know there are some companies who do less than 10,000, but that's very rare. Okay, so usually it's around that much money. So that's your liability. And the trucking companies absolutely must have that when they are road. Otherwise, they're running illegal. You can't even, like when you're registering your MC number, your DOT number, and you're getting your authority from the DOT for a trucking company, so you can haul loads. You can't even get your MC number active without sending them a proof of the insurance that you have for that. And you have to have a truck on your policy, an insured truck. And even if down the road your insurance gets canceled or you fail to renew, DOT will be notified immediately, and you can't be running. They're going to pull you over. They're going to place you out of service on a way station. You can't, absolutely, a trucking company cannot run without it. There is one more thing. There's also general liability. That's not a must. You don't have to have that, but it's a good idea to have it. Usually that's like $1 or $2 million coverage extra on top of you already have. And some brokers require that. Some brokers will not work with you as a trucking company unless you have a general liability on top of all this. And the general liability is not that expensive. It's like around $1,000 a year, but it gives you extra coverage in case something happens, and brokers like seeing that. So now that we spoke a little about all these insurances and what they are, let's talk about you specifically, the dispatcher. When you work with a carrier and you're looking for a load for a specific carrier, you are using their MC and DOT numbers to book a load from the broker. You would call the broker and tell them, hi, I'm such and such, and then I'm coming on behalf of this company. This is their MC number, and I'm booking this load for them. And then when they send you the rate confirmation, the rate confirmation will be in the name of that carrier / owner operator, whoever it is that you're working with. Okay, so it has their name, their MC number, and all that. So when you book a load, they can see in their system that they have active insurance, they have cargo and liability insurance, and if they need general liability as well or not, but they have everything active, everything checks out, and they assign that load in the name of that company. Okay, so when they send you a load, or when you forward the load to the carrier, then the broker expects this carrier to hold that load. Okay, and they will pay them as well, and they're going to use their insurance for the documentation and all that. So in case something happens with that load, then they will contact the carrier's insurance, okay, and then they will proceed, whether there has to be a claim or something that has to do with that unfortunate event. So they are using that carrier and their insurance because essentially they sold them a load. They didn't sell you a load. You're a dispatcher. You're like a middleman that is just booking a load on behalf of the carrier or owner operator and just forwarding it to the carrier. Okay, you're not getting paid from the broker. The carrier is getting paid. They're doing the load. They're using their authority and their insurance. Okay, so if something happens, they will contact the carrier's insurance because that's who they are essentially working with. Okay. Now, do you need insurance? Do you need liability? Well, you can't have liability insurance because you don't have any trucks. Remember, like we said in the beginning, you can't have a DOT number and MC numbers. You can't have authority without having a truck. Okay, you have to have a truck, and that truck has to be insured in your trucking company's name. Since you don't have a truck, then therefore you cannot have liability insurance. Also, with cargo insurance, like I said before, brokers can have contingent cargo insurance, okay, even liability. But that's something only if the carrier's insurance does not cover, then that insurance can kick in and then cover those things that are not covered or that they refuse to cover, in case that happens. So brokers can have that. With you as a dispatching company, think about it. Why would you need insurance? How can you even get it? Because you don't have an MC number. If you get contingent insurance somehow from insurance, and I don't think that's even possible, because you would have to, for that, you also have to have an active MC and DOT numbers. Even, brokers, they have their own MC numbers. So even if you decide to get that contingent cargo or liability, I really don't think that insurances can write that policy for you because you don't have an MC number or US DOT number. So people ask me all this question, and I just tell you, think about yourself. I don't have to tell you that you should get it or you should not get it. Just think about it. The trucking company that's doing the load, they're using their authority and their insurance that's connected to the authority to hold the load. Okay, so if something happens, they have the insurance. Okay, if their insurance does not cover something, usually the broker has their own contingent cargo insurance or liability. Now, if something happens and something really big happens, you tell me, how are they gonna go after you? Like, what would be the reason that they would want to you to cover this load? You never had the load under your position. Like, the customer sends the load to broker, and they're using their MC number to sell that load, essentially, because the customer pays the broker and the broker pays the carrier. Okay, so the broker is owning quote unquote that load for a little bit. They don't physically see the load, they don't physically move it, but they have a responsibility about that load, and therefore they might be held liable if something happens. Now, the carrier physically takes that load and brings it from point A to point B, and their insurance is mostly involved in all that. That's why it's so expensive. Okay, but you, as an independent dispatcher who went on your computer and looked for a load for this carrier and found that load, and all you did was to accept the load on behalf of that carrier, but you never worked for the carrier because you are a contractor. You're not an employee of that carrier. You're just providing them services for that load. You forward it to them. You never get paid for this load from the customer or from the broker, you only get paid a finder's fee commission from the carrier because you booked a load and they said, okay, here's a portion of this payment that I received from the broker, or a flat fee, and that's how I'm going to pay you for your services. Having all this in mind and knowing about these facts and how these insurances work, my question to you is, why would you want to have that kind of insurance? What do you need it for? Do you get my point? Because if something happens, you have all their insurances, they're essentially moving the load, you're just a middleman. And then at the end, also, it would be very hard to get it for you because you don't have an MC number, you don't have a DOT number. And now this would be a very big expense for you because you are working with these companies you're using. Well, you're not using, broker is using the carrier's insurance for everything, and they have usually their own. Sometimes they don't, like these small brokers, sometimes they don't have that insurance, and they are not really required to have the insurance. The law doesn't say anything about brokers having to have insurance. When you are registering a brokerage, the only things that you have to have is the surety bond and the BOC3, but that's it. You don't have to have insurance, okay? And then especially with you as an independent dispatcher, there is nothing that says anywhere about those companies, so they are not regulated. And then there is a video that I have about these dispatching companies, whether they're legal or not, because some people will argue that they are not legal, and then I disagree with that. But having that in mind, that there are no regulations for trucking, for dispatching companies, there is also no requirement for them to have any kind of insurance like that. Now, whether you want to have office insurance or some kind of, like different, regular insurances, that's up to you. And that's also, up to your state. You have to check with your state if you have to have anything additional, any kind of license if you're in this kind of business. But these insurance are really, in my eyes, in my opinion, and then from what I've seen before, are not required for you to have as a trucking dispatcher. I may be wrong, though, and if you have any comments about that or any suggestions, or if you think otherwise, let me know in the comments, like the video, come back for more, and then I'll see you around.